My wife despises my surprise cruise, forgets our anniversary, and compares me to her late husband, but now I'm going on the trip with her best friend. I've been hesitating a lot about whether I should post this, mainly because I don't want to seem like I'm venting or looking for pity. But the last few weeks have left me completely confused, and I genuinely don't know if what I did was wrong, or if I'm finally seeing things more clearly than I have in years. My wife and I have been married for a little over 3 years. Like in most marriages, nothing dramatic has happened in those 3 years, just life, work stress, misaligned schedules, trying to make time for each other when we're both exhausted. But overall, things were going well. We weren't perfect, but we weren't distant, or angry, or facing anything I would have considered serious. She was married before. Her first husband died in a car accident years ago. Obviously, he was an important part of her life and something I never pried into unless she brought it up. I respected the loss and understood that grief isn't something that disappears just because you move on. I gave her space and tried not to make her feel like she had to compare the two relationships. This year, our anniversary fell on a weekend, which gave me the perfect opportunity to do something meaningful. I had been planning a surprise cruise for months. I coordinated everything behind the scenes, rearranged work commitments, contacted her coworker to make sure she got the day off, and even asked her best friend, Sierra, for help with the logistics to make sure nothing got ruined. It wasn't something I threw together last minute. I booked a nice cabin, planned activities, and made sure everything was covered, from transportation to meals. I put real time into this because I thought it would mean something to her. I wanted it to be a wonderful experience, something to break the daily routine and remind us both why we chose each other in the first place. The morning of our anniversary came. I woke up early, made her breakfast, gave her a small handwritten card, and told her to pack a suitcase. I thought she would laugh and get excited when she realized what was happening. Instead, she looked at me like I was speaking another language. She literally asked me what the occasion was. That's when I realized she had forgotten. That was already the first painful blow of the day. Still, I reminded her it was our anniversary and explained everything I had planned, still hoping she would change her attitude and appreciate the effort. She didn't. She stayed quiet for a while, then said she already had plans to see her sister that day. I asked if she could change her plans, thinking maybe she just needed a moment to shift gears. Instead, she shut down a bit, said she wasn't in the mood for a trip and that I should have consulted her first. I wasn't angry yet, but I started to feel like maybe I had misunderstood our entire relationship. I offered to cancel or postpone. I was still trying to make it work. But then she said something that, honestly, I haven't been able to get out of my head since. She told me I try too hard to make things special and that her late husband never had to make a big event out of anniversaries, but she still felt loved every day. That hit me differently. I didn't say anything right away, but inside, it broke my heart. She wasn't just comparing me to her ex, she was measuring me against a ghost. Someone who can never disappoint anymore because memory turns everything into a highlight reel. And she was throwing that at me in the middle of my attempt to do something thoughtful. In the end, she went to see her sister. I was going to cancel the cruise, not because I was angry with her at that point, but because it was clear she didn't want it. Sierra called me, asking how the surprise had gone, and I told her. She was clearly surprised. She said she had no idea my wife would forget or react that way. She even apologized, which she didn't have to do, but I could tell she genuinely felt bad. Sierra has always been respectful of our relationship. There's never been any weird dynamic, just calmness. What really pushed me to write this post is what happened a few days after the anniversary. I tried talking to my wife again, not to rehash the cruise thing, but to understand where she stood. She barely said anything for a while, then told me that sometimes she feels like she's living someone else's version of a relationship. I asked her if she was unhappy. She said she didn't know. That was new for me, realizing that I was the only one still putting in the effort, like I was the only one who still cared whether we were close or drifting apart. Then I left the room. That night, Sierra reached out again. I guess she could tell I wasn't okay. I told her what had happened, and she said something that stuck with me. She told me not to waste something I had worked so hard for, and that if I didn't want to go alone, she would take the trip with me so the money and effort wouldn't go to waste. It didn't feel weird. I didn't feel like she was flirting or crossing any lines. It was more like, hey, you shouldn't be the only one left behind. I thought about it. I hesitated over whether it would be a bad decision. But in the end, I said yes. Not out of revenge or spite. Just because I needed space too. I needed a reset and someone who could offer me a moment of human kindness after everything fell apart. It meant more than I expected. So I went. My wife didn't stop me, didn't ask me not to go, didn't say much at all. I don't know what will happen now. I'm not sure if this is the beginning of things getting worse or if this is what finally makes everything make sense. But for the first time, honestly, I don't feel guilty for doing something for myself. She forgot our anniversary, rejected me, compared me to her late husband, and now she's distant. Meanwhile, the only person who showed up and supported me was her best friend. I know how that sounds, but it's the truth. I just got back from the cruise, and honestly, I don't know what state of mind I'm in right now. I thought going would help clear my thoughts or at least give me some distance to understand what's happening in my marriage. But I feel more trapped than before. I've gone over everything 100 times in my head, and I still don't understand how things got to this point. I keep trying to find the moment where I messed up so badly that it would justify how cold my wife has been. But I don't see it. She never acknowledged the fact that I left. It seemed like she didn't care. No calls before I got on the ship, no messages while I was away. And yes, she definitely knew Sierra came with me. I told her directly before I left because I wasn't going to sneak around or lie. There was nothing to hide. I thought she deserved that honesty, even if she didn't appreciate the gesture when it was meant for her. When I got back from the cruise, I expected tension, awkward silence, maybe even cold contempt. But I didn't expect the way she was just waiting for me. She was sitting in the living room like she had been there for a while. She wasn't looking at her phone or watching TV, she was just sitting. It was one of those moments where you feel the shift in the air before a word is spoken. I knew something was coming. She didn't even say hello. She just looked up and asked, "Did you enjoy your little getaway with Sierra?" I explained how I had planned everything for us, how the money was non-refundable and could only be rescheduled, how Sierra only stepped in after she backed out and everything had already been paid for. I wasn't going to let all that go to waste, not after the time and effort I put into it. I had also tried to talk to her, and she didn't care. She didn't even spend our anniversary with me, she just left to see her sister. She said I was being vindictive, that I used Sierra to make a point, that I knew exactly how it would look and did it anyway. I tried to stay calm. I told her Sierra offered to go because she felt bad. We weren't even in the same cabin, and we didn't share much beyond some dinners and conversations about what was happening in my marriage. And I said yes because, at that moment, I felt completely rejected, not just as a husband but as someone who had really tried. Then she said she couldn't trust either of us anymore, that I had surprised her. I reminded her that she was the one who forgot our anniversary, that she walked out of the house that morning like it was any other day, that I wasn't choosing Sierra over her, she just wasn't there. I asked her directly, "Do you really want to stay married?" She didn't answer. She just sat there, looked at the floor for a few seconds, then got up and left the room. I heard her packing a bag upstairs. 10 minutes later, she came down with her bag, a backpack, and her keys. She said she was going to her sister's place and that she needed space. Our mutual friends have stayed distant. Some still like my posts here and there, but no one has reached out. No one asks. Everyone is trying not to take sides, which is their choice, but it's hard not to feel like the villain when everyone goes silent at the same time. The strangest part is how quickly she shut everything down. There was no attempt to talk things through, no questions about what really happened on the cruise, no acknowledgement of the fact that she forgot one of the most basic things in a marriage, our anniversary, and that I still tried to make it special. That I didn't even get mad when she canceled. I gave her space. I tried to talk like an adult. Instead, I'm the bad guy for not wasting the money. Sierra texted me. She said she received a long message from my wife telling her to lose her number, that she crossed a line, that she should have known better, and that she doesn't know how to respect boundaries. Sierra showed me the message. It was a wall of text. Part of it was a bunch of vague emotional stuff, other parts were just accusations, like Sierra had wanted to go on the trip from the start, like she had encouraged it, like she had an agenda. None of that is true. Sierra has been nothing but supportive. If anything, she was asking before the cruise if I was sure, making it clear she didn't want things to get weird. And during the trip, she was respectful the whole time. Separate rooms, no drunken moments, no stargazing conversations. It was just two people trying not to let something completely good go to waste. I told Sierra not to take it personally, but I can tell it's hurting her. She and my wife have been best friends since college. They've been through things together that I wasn't even a part of, and now in just 1 week, that's all gone, not because of anything crazy, but because Sierra felt bad for me. She's not the kind of person who plays games. She helped because I needed it. That's all. It sucks. All of it. And I don't know what the next step is. I don't even know if I want to try to fix this anymore. I'm starting to feel like the only person who actually cared was me. It's not like I was trying to be spiteful. The cruise was already paid for, and I wasn't going to waste all the effort I'd put into it just because my wife decided to ignore it. And it's not like I asked Sierra to come as some weird emotional rebound thing. She offered. She was the only one who even gave a damn about me after how everything unfolded that morning. Honestly, if she hadn't said anything, I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have stayed home, poisoning myself with thoughts, canceling everything, eating the cost, and feeling even worse. So yeah, I said yes. We went. And no, nothing happened, not even close. The whole vibe was more about decompressing than anything else. I was still mentally shattered by how my wife had reacted, and Sierra could see that. She just let me vent when I needed to. And honestly, that kind of support felt like a lifeline in that moment. I know some people will say I should have canceled the trip and stayed home, that going with her best friend was a dumb idea. But when you're in that situation, when you've already been emotionally slapped in the face, and someone tells you, hey, don't let this go to waste, it's hard not to listen, especially when that person has been more emotionally available to you than your own partner. I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what happened. And now I'm stuck in this limbo where I feel like I'm the bad guy, even though I don't think I've done anything to deserve that title. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't even raise my voice when she forgot our anniversary and compared me to someone who's no longer here. I tried to talk like an adult, and I was dismissed like I was overreacting. So yes, I took the trip, and the only person who supported me was Sierra. I understand this whole situation is strange. I'm not stupid. I know how appearances work. But I'm also not going to stand here pretending I'm some villain who orchestrated all of this to get close to my wife's best friend. That's not how it went, not even close. It was just me, feeling like I was the only one still trying, and Sierra telling me, you don't deserve to be alone in this. Sierra hasn't said much since. I think now she's feeling the weight of all this too. She's probably getting more pressure from my wife, maybe even from their mutual friends. I wouldn't be surprised if they start painting her as some homewrecker, which is really unfair because she only stepped in when no one else did. She wasn't trying to insert herself into our marriage. She just didn't want to see me sink. I don't know when, or if, my wife will finally say something. Or if she'll just keep pretending I don't exist until she decides it's over for good. All I know is that the silence is worse than anything she could actually say out loud, and I don't think I can stay in that much longer without breaking. I'll write another update soon, once things move again. I just needed to get this off my chest because it's been eating me up inside. It's been almost 2 weeks since my wife left the house, and I haven't heard a single word from her. Not one call. Not even a short message to say she's okay or to tell me where we stand. She just disappeared. I know she's still staying at her sister's house because I saw her car parked there one day when I drove by, but that's it. Her sister blocked me after I tried to message her to see if at least my wife was okay. I've tried to stay calm through all of this, but it's draining me. I can't talk to anyone without it somehow becoming a mess. We have mutual friends who used to be neutral people we hung out with, but now it's obvious that some of them have taken sides. A couple of people have unfollowed me on social media. One guy I've been close with since college didn't respond when I messaged him to grab a drink. It's like I did something awful and didn't even realize it. Then I started hearing bits and pieces from other people. Apparently, she's been telling some of them that I manipulated her emotionally, that I made her feel like she was living someone else's life, and that I used Sierra to prove a point or punish her. One person even told me she said I planned the trip just to be the perfect husband in public while isolating her in private. None of that makes sense, and I feel like no one's stopping to ask if maybe things aren't as black and white as she's painting them. I never tried to replace her ex or asked her to pretend that part of her life didn't exist. I've walked on eggshells about that for years out of respect. I never made a scene when she got distant around his birthday. I never complained when she put his photos back up on certain weeks. I just gave her that space because I understood grief doesn't follow a script. I just wanted to have a nice anniversary with my wife. Something light. Something happy. Something for us. And now somehow that's turned into proof that I was manipulating her. And Sierra, man. I feel sorry for her too. She didn't do anything wrong. She helped me with the planning because she wanted to make my wife feel special. That's all. She didn't flirt with me. If she had wanted to try something with me, she could have planted that seed a long time ago. Instead, she helped plan everything, like activities my wife would enjoy the most. Since we got back, Sierra has been distant. But she still checks in with a message every few days. That's hard, because if there's anyone who shouldn't feel guilty in this mess, it's her. I told her directly that none of this was her fault, that I appreciated her for being one of the only people who acted like I mattered over the past few weeks. The truth is, she's been the only person I could talk to without my words getting twisted. I haven't made any moves yet. I haven't tried to contact her sister again or surprise her at work or anything like that. I thought maybe she just needed space and time. But now, after 2 weeks of radio silence and hearing what she's been telling people, I'm no longer sure what I'm waiting for. If she really thought I was manipulating her or that Sierra and I had something, why didn't she just tell me directly? Why run a silent campaign behind the scenes? I think what's hitting me now isn't even the cruise. It's everything that came after. I haven't packed or touched any of her things. They're still here, like some part of me is still hoping she'll walk back through that door. But more and more, I'm starting to question whether this relationship had already been dying before any of this even happened. Maybe I just didn't want to admit it. Maybe I was too focused on making things work to see how far gone it already was. I'm not perfect, I know that. Maybe I tried too hard to make the anniversary special. Maybe I didn't read the situation. Maybe I should have asked instead of planning a surprise. But I wasn't cruel. I didn't betray her. I didn't humiliate her. And I definitely didn't do any of this to prove a point. But she did, and now I'm the bad guy. I've been thinking about contacting a lawyer, just to understand what my rights are in case she really is planning a divorce. It feels harsh, but I also feel like I've been left hanging long enough. Right now, the person I trusted most sees me as the enemy, and the only one who had my back is now being punished for it too. So yes, I'm starting to let go. And if this is how she chooses to end things, disappearing and dragging my name through the mud with everyone we know, I guess that tells me everything I need to know. I'm writing this from a hotel. It's just where I ended up after everything that's happened. It's quiet. I can think. No, it's not one of those times where I feel broken, more like I've finally stopped waiting for something that isn't going to happen. Yesterday, I was served the divorce papers. After she left to stay with her sister, there was total silence. No messages. No calls. I wasn't going to chase someone who clearly didn't want to be contacted. And believe me, I tried enough in the beginning. But she cut off every path I could have used to reach her. Blocked me on everything. Her sister too. Her friends said nothing. People keep saying, well, grief is complicated. Sure, I get that. But at what point does grief stop being grief and start becoming an excuse to treat someone like a placeholder? I didn't sign up to be someone's emotional backup plan. I didn't get married to be compared to a ghost. And I definitely didn't pour months of effort into a vacation just to be told I was trying too hard. I haven't heard anything from Sierra since the papers arrived, and I think she's trying to give me space, which I appreciate. I don't even know how I feel about it yet. I'm not looking for anything right now. I just want to breathe. My wife made her decision. She didn't want therapy. She didn't want to fight for the marriage. She didn't want one real conversation. She just wanted to leave. And if I'm honest, this probably ended long before the cruise ever sailed. That situation just showed me how far gone things really were. And now that it's all official, I'm not going to keep holding on to something I was the only one fighting for. This hotel room is temporary, just a place to pause before deciding what's next. I'll go back to the house in a couple of days to gather my things and start handling the legal stuff. No, I'm not going to drag it out. I don't need revenge. I don't need some dramatic courtroom battle. I just want to move forward. I truly loved her. I did. But I can't keep loving someone who stopped loving me, or maybe never did. I know this update is coming several years late, but the last time I was here, I was in a pretty bad headspace and spiraling in a destructive way. There wasn't much to tell, just how I was wrecking my life. The divorce was fairly straightforward, since the house was hers and I just took my things and left. After that, I started drinking more than I'd like to admit, and it got pretty bad. But if I'm writing here now, it's basically because of Sierra, who's been a good friend to me during this time. A really good friend, good enough that I was the best man at her wedding. Though to be honest, she ended up marrying one of my friends. But yes, she was there during my darkest moments and got me the help I needed. That's how she met my friend, by putting together a team of people who wanted to support me and help me through it. Now I've been sober for 4 years. When they had their wedding a few months ago, it was just a few days after my sobriety anniversary, so I celebrated with water, though I was less restrained with other things like cake and pretty much all the sweets. I've also been dating someone for about 2 years now. It's a pretty normal relationship, compared to the one I had with my ex, and I don't mean that in a way that suggests I still think about her. I mean it in the sense of how I feel now versus how I felt back then. This, I think, is what a relationship is supposed to feel like. It's something I've been working on in therapy this whole time, both to process things from my previous relationship and to manage my addiction issues. On a somewhat darker note, about 2 years ago, my ex-sister-in-law unblocked me to send a message. It was a message I never expected, especially after everything that had happened. It was part apology, part explanation, and part update about my ex. After my ex stayed with her for a few months due to a deep depression that made her lose her job, she finally helped her get the right kind of help. Until that point, nothing had worked. She told me my ex was still deeply affected by her late husband and that it kept dragging her down. She apologized for how, for years, my ex seemed fine, at least on the surface, while she was with me. But after the divorce, she spiraled again, and each time it got worse. Unlike me, she didn't turn to substance abuse, but her sister found her one day after she had taken a lot of pills. After that, she was taken to a more intensive care facility, because the support she had received so far hadn't been enough, for obvious reasons. Among other things, her sister told me that I shouldn't feel bad because I did everything I could. She couldn't get out of that alone. She needed a lot of help that she didn't know how to ask for. I never spoke to her sister again, and I don't know what's become of her life. That was around the time I was starting a new relationship, and I knew all too well what it was like to have a partner haunted by the past, by a ghost. But I hope she's doing better now. I hope she recovered. I hold no resentment. I don't think that's healthy. Sierra knows all about this. She was the first person I told. Her reaction was also to stay away from her former friend. I don't want you to think this is a sad ending, far from it. A lot of good has happened in my life since all of this, and now I'm in a much better place than when it all began. But I wanted to give you the full picture.